Welcome back to our channel, World of Coins. As you know that old is gold, but these rare Abraham Lincoln penny coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them because it could make you a millionaire overnight, but still on watching who knew that a single kind of penny could make you a millionaire. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1, today, we have something truly exciting for all you collectors out there. We're going to talk about a hidden treasure from the United States, the 1-cent coin from 1975. While it might seem like just another penny in your pocket, this little coin has an incredible story and could be worth far more than you think. Stick around as we explore the history, unique features, and, of course, the value of this fascinating coin. Let's start by diving into the history behind the 1975 1-cent coin. The mid-1970s were an interesting time in the United States. The country was in the midst of economic changes, with inflation on the rise and the country navigating a post-Vietnam era. 1975 was the year that marked the United States' transition toward a more modern and dynamic economy, and this penny, as humble as it is, captures a snapshot of that time. The coin itself was minted as part of the regular circulation during that period. However, most people likely didn't think twice about it when they dropped it into their pockets or spent it at the local store. But as time passed, collectors began to take note of its significance, and not just because it's from an iconic era. There are some fascinating details about this coin that make it stand out. The 1-cent coin from 1975 was produced by the United States Mint as part of the ongoing series of pennies first introduced in 1909, featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front, of the coin. His likeness, designed by sculptor Victor D. Brenner, has graced the penny ever since. But while this coin may appear relatively standard at first glance, there's a twist that can make it exceptionally valuable. One of the key reasons this coin is so sought after is because of a rare and highly coveted error. Some of the 1975 pennies were struck using the wrong dies, leading to a fascinating variety that collectors call the 1975 double die penny. What makes this error particularly interesting is the distinctive doubling effect that occurs on the letters and numbers, which is most noticeable in the word Liberty and the date 1975. This double strike is caused by the die being misaligned during the minting process, resulting in a blurred or doubled appearance of certain elements of the design. So why does this error matter so much? Well, coins with these kinds of minting mistakes are always in high demand. In the world of coin collecting, error coins are especially prized because they're unique. There's only one like it in the world. As a result, the value of these coins skyrockets. But it's not just any 1975 penny with the double die that holds significant worth. For a 1975 penny to truly command top dollar, it needs to be in pristine condition. That means no signs of wear, no scratches, and no tarnishing. A coin in mint state is worth far more than one that has been heavily circulated. Now, you might be wondering, what is a 1975 1-cent coin with the double die error worth today? If you happen to come across one of these rare coins in mint condition, or better yet, one that has been carefully preserved and graded by a professional, it could fetch a staggering amount. In fact, the value of a perfect 1975 1-cent coin with the double die error can reach up to $59,000. Yes, you heard that right, $59,000 for a single penny. That's incredible, considering that this coin was originally worth just 1 cent when it was minted. So, if you've got any old pennies lying around, or if you happen to find a 1975 penny in your change, be sure to examine it closely. Look for the telltale signs of doubling on the word Liberty or the date, and if you spot it, you could be holding on to a small fortune. Even if you don't have one of these rare error coins, it's still important to remember that the 1975 1-cent coin is part of an important series of coins in the United States history. Coins from this era have an undeniable charm, and they represent a unique moment in the country's economic and political landscape. In the world of coin collecting, knowledge is power. The more you know about the coins you own, the better your chances of finding something truly valuable. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, always keep an eye out for rare and unique coins, because you never know what hidden treasures might be waiting for you. So, if you come across a 1975 penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment to check it for any unique features, and if you're lucky enough to find a double die error, you could be looking at a coin worth $59,000. It just goes to show that sometimes, the most unassuming items hold the greatest value. Top 2, we're delving into the story behind a seemingly simple coin that may be hiding a wealth of history and value, the United States 1-cent coin from 1979. When you think of pennies, they might seem like just pocket change, but as we'll see today, some of these small coins hold astonishing stories and can fetch big bucks in the world of collectors. Stick with us as we explore the historical significance, design features, minting details, and, of course, the surprising value of this 1979 penny. The year 1979 was a period of change and transformation for the United States. The country was in the midst of significant economic challenges, including rising inflation and oil crises that had begun a few years earlier. Domestically, political shifts were taking place as well, with President Jimmy Carter assuming office after the resignation of Richard Nixon and the aftermath of the Watergate scandal. Meanwhile, on a global scale, the Cold War tensions were ever present, and the world economy was experiencing an era of significant volatility. In the midst of all this, the U.S. Mint was busy creating coins to help stabilize and modernize the country's currency system, and among these was the unassuming 1-cent coin that would carry with it much more than just a simple value. At the time, the penny was still one of the most widely circulated coins in the United States, despite its small denomination. The 1979 penny was part of the ongoing series of Lincoln Memorial pennies, which had been in circulation since 1959. These pennies were familiar to nearly every American, yet behind their everyday use was a fascinating history tied to American culture and politics. To fully understand the significance of the 1979 penny, we must first look at its design and the role that the U.S. Mint had in producing coins. The reverse side of the coin, which features the familiar Lincoln Memorial, was designed by Frank Gasparo, the U.S. Mint's chief engraver at the time. The Lincoln Memorial itself, which was constructed in Washington, D.C., in honor of the 16th President Abraham Lincoln, had been the centerpiece of the penny's reverse since 1959. This design symbolized the enduring legacy of Lincoln and his contributions to the nation. What many collectors don't realize, though, is that by 1979, a small change in the production process created subtle but significant differences in how these coins were minted. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1979 penny is its composition. Throughout the 1970s, the U.S. Mint used a combination of 95% copper and 5% zinc to create the penny. This was before the Mint switched to a predominantly copper-plated zinc composition in 1982, which would significantly change the weight and feel of the coin. Therefore, the 1979 penny carries a special weight, a density that is distinct and adds to its appeal among collectors who prize the earlier, copper-rich coins. At 3.11 grams and with a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, the 1979 penny was a perfect representation of American currency at the time. But what makes the 1979 penny so valuable to collectors? It all comes down to rarity, minting errors, and condition. Despite being mass-produced in large numbers, not all 1979 pennies are created equal. Some subtle design errors, minting inconsistencies, and variations in the coin's production have made certain examples of the 1979 penny highly coveted among numismatists. For example, one of the most sought-after variants of the 1979 penny is the so-called double die penny, which occurred when the coin's design was struck more than once, causing the image to appear slightly doubled or misaligned. This rare error makes certain 1979 pennies incredibly valuable and can send their prices soaring into the thousands of dollars, depending on the rarity of the error and the coin's condition. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. The more pristine and uncirculated the coin, the higher its value on the market. As with most coins, the 1979 penny was widely circulated, which means many have worn down over the years. However, coins that have been well preserved in near-perfect condition are the ones that collectors seek the most. A 1979 penny that has been kept in excellent condition, with sharp details and minimal wear, can fetch a premium price. But there's more. The 1979 penny has a few variations that could change its value dramatically. For example, there are known to be differences between the 1979 pennies minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. These mints each have their own subtle differences in how they produce coins, and collectors often look for these variations as part of their pursuit of rare, collectible pieces. As the minting process evolved over time, these small differences became more noticeable, and certain years like 1979 stand out to those who specialize in minting errors and subtle variations. The excitement around the 1979 penny is fueled not only by its rarity and potential for minting errors but also by the fact that it is a piece of American history. The coin commemorates one of the most iconic figures in U.S. history, Abraham Lincoln, and it reflects the political and economic changes occurring in the country at the time. Every coin minted has a story to tell, and the 1979 penny is no exception. Whether it's the combination of metals that gives it a unique weight, the history behind its design, or the subtle errors that make it valuable, the 1979 penny holds a special place in the world of coin collecting. So, let's get to the most exciting part: just how much could a 1979 penny be worth today? The answer may surprise you. If you happen to have a 1979 penny that's been carefully preserved in uncirculated condition, or if you're lucky enough to have one with a minting error like the double die, you could be holding on to a small fortune. These coins, in excellent condition or with rare errors, can be worth up to $55,000. That's right, $55,000 for a single penny. It's remarkable how a coin that was once used as pocket change could be worth such an incredible amount today. So, if you have a stash of old pennies or come across a 1979 penny in your travels, make sure to take a closer look. You could very well be holding on to a valuable piece of history. Top 3, we're going to take a deep dive into a fascinating piece of U.S. history that might be hiding in your spare change, the 1978 United States 1-cent coin. At first glance, this coin might seem like just another penny, but when you look closer, you'll discover a rich history, some unique design features, and a surprising value in today's market. Stick with us as we explore everything there is to know about the 1978 penny, from its creation to its current market worth, and uncover just how valuable this seemingly ordinary coin can be. Let's set the stage. The year 1978 was a time of change for the United States. President Jimmy Carter had just taken office, the nation was recovering from the oil crisis of the 1970s, and Americans were adjusting to new economic realities. At the same time, the United States Mint was busy producing currency to keep up with the demands of a growing economy. The 1978 1-cent coin was part of this effort, continuing a long history of pennies that have helped power the U.S. economy, and at the same time, carrying a quiet but important story of its own. The U.S. Mint had been producing pennies with the same design for nearly 2 decades by the time 1978 rolled around. The obverse, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, was designed by Victor David Brenner and had been in circulation since 1909. This image of Lincoln, which remains one of the most recognized in the world, has been a constant presence on the 1-cent coin, making it not just currency but also a symbol of American history. On the reverse side, the coin features the Lincoln Memorial, which had replaced the wheat ears design in 1959. This design was a tribute to the memorial that honors Lincoln's legacy and his role in shaping the United States, a fitting tribute to a man whose impact on the nation continues to resonate today. As we take a closer look at the specifics of the 1978 penny, it's important to understand the context in which this coin was minted. The composition of the 1978 1-cent coin was the same as it had been since the early 20th century, 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition was common for pennies struck before 1982, when the U.S. Mint transitioned to a copper-plated zinc composition. The copper penny, with its distinct reddish-brown hue, became a beloved symbol of American currency, and the 1978 penny is no exception. It has a weight of 3.11 grams and a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, making it the standard size that many collectors have come to know and love. But the 1978 penny, despite its widespread circulation, has an interesting backstory that makes it more valuable to collectors than you might think. While the penny design itself had been consistent for many years, the minting process during the 1970s was anything but ordinary. The U.S. Mint faced challenges as the demand for currency increased, and during this period, certain coins were struck with subtle differences or errors that would go unnoticed by most people but would later become highly sought after by numismatists. In fact, the 1978 penny is a prime example of how seemingly insignificant variations in minting can cause a coin to skyrocket in value. One of the main factors that contribute to the value of the 1978 penny is its rarity in certain conditions. Like many coins from the 1970s, the 1978 penny was circulated widely. Many were used in everyday transactions, causing them to wear down and lose their luster over time. However, coins that have been preserved in near mint condition are becoming increasingly rare, and this is where the 1978 penny truly stands out. Coins that have been kept in pristine condition are highly sought after by collectors who are looking for pieces to complete their collections. The value of these well-preserved coins can be significantly higher than that of coins that show signs of wear and tear, but what about those special coins with errors or unique characteristics? This is where things get even more exciting. Over the years, the U.S. Mint has made occasional errors in the coin-making process, and the 1978 penny is no exception. One of the most significant errors associated with the 1978 penny is the double die error. This error occurs when a coin is struck twice, causing the design to appear slightly doubled or misaligned. The 1978 penny with this error is highly prized by collectors because it's a rare and unique variation that sets it apart from the standard issue coin. Another key factor that makes the 1978 penny special is its role in the history of U.S. currency. The penny has long been a staple of American currency, and despite its small value, it has played an important role in the nation's economy. The 1978 penny is part of a broader historical context that includes the United States' efforts to deal with inflation, economic stagnation, and other challenges of the time. As the nation's financial system evolved throughout the 1970s and beyond, coins like the 1978 penny became relics of a specific moment in history, capturing the essence of a nation in transition. So, what makes the 1978 penny such an attractive target for collectors? It's all about the combination of its historical significance, rarity, and the potential for minting errors. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that have unique qualities, whether it's an error, a variation in design, or simply a coin that has been well preserved for decades. A 1978 penny in mint condition or with a rare error can command impressive prices in the market, making it a desirable addition to any collection. But here's the most exciting part: the value of the 1978 penny today. If you happen to have a 1978 penny that's in excellent, uncirculated condition, or if you're lucky enough to own one with a minting error, you could be holding on to something worth a small fortune. A coin like this, with the right condition or error, can fetch as much as $57,000 in the current market. That's right, $57,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that a coin that was once worth just 1 cent could now be worth tens of thousands of dollars. So, if you have any 1978 pennies lying around, make sure to check them closely. You could be holding on to a hidden treasure that could change your life. Top 4, we have a very special topic lined up for you. We're going to talk about a seemingly ordinary coin, the 1982 United States 1-cent coin. At first glance, this penny may look like just another piece of change, but don't be fooled. There's much more to this coin than meets the eye. Join me as we uncover the history, design, minting details, and, most importantly, the shocking value of the 1982 penny. Let's step back in time for a moment. The year 1982 was a pivotal year for the United States, marked by significant economic, political, and cultural events. On the global stage, the world was witnessing the end of the Cold War, and domestically, the U.S. economy was navigating a period of inflation, high unemployment, and financial instability. It was also a time of great innovation in technology, with the first personal computers beginning to change the way people lived and worked. But for all the attention given to these world-shaping events, something else was quietly happening under the radar that would affect the future of American currency: a significant change in the production of U.S. pennies. Prior to 1982, the U.S. penny had been minted using a copper-based alloy made up of 95% copper and 5% zinc. However, this mixture was about to change. The price of copper had risen dramatically during the 1970s, and by 1982, it was no longer cost-effective to continue using the high copper formula for producing pennies. As a result, the U.S. Mint made a decision to switch the penny's composition, creating two versions of the 1982 penny in the same year, one with the traditional copper alloy and the other with a new copper-plated zinc composition. This change would have a lasting impact on the value and collectability of the 1982 penny, as well as the way we view it today. Let's take a closer look at the design of the 1982 penny. Like the pennies before it, the obverse of the coin features the well-known portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln, one of America's most revered presidents, has graced the penny since 1909, and his image remains an iconic symbol of the U.S. coinage system. The reverse side of the coin, however, had a more recent design. Since 1959, the reverse side of the penny has featured the Lincoln Memorial, a tribute to the famous structure in Washington, D.C., where Lincoln is honored. The memorial, designed by architect Henry Bacon, serves as a lasting symbol of Lincoln's legacy in American history. But as we mentioned earlier, what makes the 1982 penny stand out is the dramatic shift in its composition. While the first half of the year still saw the production of copper pennies, the second half of 1982 saw the U.S. Mint begin producing pennies with a core made of zinc, which is then coated with a thin layer of copper. This new composition made the penny lighter and cheaper to produce. It also caused some changes in the penny's appearance, with the newer zinc pennies often having a slightly brighter, shinier finish compared to their copper counterparts. The difference between the copper and zinc 1982 pennies is so distinct that it's become a point of interest for collectors. If you happen to have a 1982 penny in your collection, there's a good chance you have one of these two types of coins, and the difference in composition is just the beginning. The two versions of the 1982 penny also have slightly different weights. The copper pennies weigh 3.11 grams, while the zinc pennies weigh 2.5 grams, making the copper version noticeably heavier. This is a key factor that can help collectors identify the two types. Now, let's talk about the significance of these differences. As you can imagine, the sudden shift in composition in 1982 created a lot of interest among coin collectors. The change meant that there were two distinct types of pennies in circulation during that year. And, as is often the case in the world of coin collecting, the rarer variations tend to be more valuable. Because the copper pennies from 1982 were phased out by the end of the year, they are relatively rare in comparison to the zinc pennies, making them highly sought after by collectors. Beyond the difference in composition, some 1982 pennies have an even more significant distinction: minting errors. These errors occurred when the coins were struck by the dies during the production process. For example, there are reports of 1982 pennies that feature a double die error, where the design appears slightly doubled or misaligned. This kind of minting error can be incredibly rare and valuable, and it's one of the most exciting aspects of collecting 1982 pennies. Another possible error that collectors look for in the 1982 penny is a cud error. A cud is a defect that occurs when a portion of the die breaks off, causing part of the design to be missing on the coin. Cuds are rare and often make the coin much more valuable. If you're lucky enough to find a 1982 penny with such an error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. But how much is a 1982 penny worth, you may wonder? Well, if you have one of the copper version pennies from 1982, and it's in pristine condition, it can already be worth a considerable amount. But when you add in the possibility of minting errors like a double die or cud, the value can skyrocket. In fact, some of the most valuable 1982 pennies, especially those with errors, can be worth up to $53,000. That's right, $53,000 for a single penny. This is a remarkable amount of money for a coin that, at first glance, seems like just another piece of change. But that's the magic of coin collecting. The right coin, in the right condition, with the right history or error, can transform into something far more valuable than you could ever imagine. So, if you happen to have a collection of pennies or you come across a 1982 penny in your spare change, take a moment to inspect it closely. It could be the key to unlocking a hidden treasure. Remember, even something as small as a penny can hold a tremendous amount of value, and in the case of the 1982 penny, that value could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Top 5, we're going to talk about a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, the United States 1-cent coin from 1980. If you've ever looked through your pocket change or a collection of old coins and wondered if any of them are worth something more than face value, then you're in the right place. Stick with us as we explore the history, design, and collector's appeal of the 1980 penny, and stick around for the big reveal of its current value. You might just be holding on to something worth a small fortune. To understand the significance of the 1980 penny, we first need to look at the context in which this coin was minted. The year 1980 was a time of significant change for the United States. The country was navigating a tough economic period marked by inflation, high unemployment, and a general feeling of uncertainty. In fact, the early 1980s marked the tail end of a particularly tough recession that had gripped the nation. It was also the year that President Jimmy Carter, facing intense economic pressure, had to confront challenges that would continue to shape the country's financial future. But what many people didn't realize at the time was that amid all this turmoil, a coin would be minted in 1980 that would go on to hold historical significance, and could become incredibly valuable decades later. Now, let's talk about the design of the 1980 penny, which was part of the same series of coins that had been in circulation for decades. The obverse side of the penny features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner and has been used on the U.S. penny since 1909, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage history. Lincoln's profile, with his trademark beard and thoughtful expression, is instantly recognizable and symbolizes the ideals of freedom, democracy, and the nation's commitment to equality. The reverse side of the coin, which features the Lincoln Memorial, was also a design that had been in place since 1959. The Lincoln Memorial, located in Washington, D.C., was designed by architect Henry Bacon to honor the life and legacy of Abraham Lincoln. The memorial is one of the most iconic landmarks in the United States, and its inclusion on the back of the penny has made the coin both a tribute to Lincoln's achievements and a symbol of American history. However, as we know, coins are more than just pieces of metal with designs on them, they are products of their time, and the 1980 penny is no exception. It was minted using the same materials as its predecessors, 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition, which gave the penny its distinct reddish-brown color, was standard for U.S. pennies until 1982 when a significant change in the composition was made. But in 1980, the penny still weighed 3.11 grams and had a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, characteristics that are largely unchanged in today's penny. But what makes the 1980 penny stand out in the world of coin collecting? Like most coins, the 1980 penny saw widespread circulation, meaning many of them were used for everyday transactions and saw a fair amount of wear and tear over the years. However, there is something truly special about a well-preserved 1980 penny. As with all coins, the value of the 1980 penny depends on factors like condition, rarity, and any potential minting errors that may have occurred during its production. The rarity of a 1980 penny in mint or near mint condition is one of the key factors that makes it valuable today. As time goes on, it becomes more difficult to find coins that have been kept in excellent condition, especially when they've spent years in circulation. A 1980 penny that is free of scratches, tarnish, or other signs of wear can command a much higher price than a coin that's been heavily used. Collectors often seek out these pristine examples because they represent the coin at its best, and these coins can fetch impressive prices at auction or through private sales. But there's more to the story of the 1980 penny than just its general rarity. The 1980 penny, like many other coins from this era, is also subject to interest from collectors who are always on the lookout for unusual characteristics or minting errors. Over the years, the U.S. Mint has occasionally produced coins with design flaws, inconsistencies in metal composition, or misprints that make certain coins highly desirable to collectors. In the case of the 1980 penny, a few different types of errors and variations have been found, adding to the coin's appeal. One of the most sought-after variations of the 1980 penny is the so-called double die error. This error occurs when a coin is struck twice by the dies used to create its design, resulting in a doubled image or misalignment of the design elements. In the case of the 1980 penny, this means that the image of Abraham Lincoln or the text on the coin may appear blurry, doubled, or misaligned. These errors are relatively rare, but they can be incredibly valuable to collectors. A 1980 penny with a double die error could easily be worth much more than its face value, depending on its condition and the severity of the error. Another potential error that collectors look for in 1980 pennies is the cut error. A cut occurs when a portion of the die breaks off, leaving a gap or missing design on the coin. A 1980 penny with a cut error can be a unique and valuable find, as these errors are often rare and make the coin stand out in any collection. Because cut errors can make the coin visually distinct, they tend to fetch higher prices among collectors looking for unusual and scarce examples. While these errors are exciting to find, the general appeal of the 1980 penny to collectors comes from its place in the broader context of American history. The penny has always been one of the most recognizable and accessible forms of U.S. currency, and the 1980 penny, in particular, serves as a snapshot of the economic challenges and cultural shifts of the time. Despite its humble value, the penny has long been a symbol of American life, representing both the struggles and the resilience of the nation. Now, let's get to the big question: how much is the 1980 penny worth today? If you happen to have a 1980 penny that's in near perfect condition, you could be looking at a value much higher than its 1 cent face value. In fact, a well-preserved 1980 penny can be worth several $100s, depending on its condition and any unique features it may have. But here's where it gets even more exciting: some 1980 pennies, especially those with minting errors like double dies or cut errors, can be worth as much as $54,000. That's right, $54,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent could now be worth tens of thousands of dollars. So, if you've got any 1980 pennies in your collection, or if you stumble across one while going through your change, be sure to take a close look. You may just be holding on to a rare piece of history that could fetch a substantial price. Top 6, we're diving into a fascinating topic that might just have you digging through your coin collections and change jars. We're going to talk about the United States 1-cent coin from 1981. Now, you may think, it's just another penny, right? Well, not quite. This seemingly ordinary coin has a rich history, a well-known design, and, for those with the right coin, an extraordinary value. Stick with us as we take a deep dive into the historical context of this coin, its design, how it was minted, what makes it special for collectors, and, of course, the big reveal of its incredible value today. To understand the significance of the 1981 penny, we need to first look at the larger picture. The United States in 1981 was in a period of transition. President Ronald Reagan had just taken office after a contentious election, bringing with him a wave of new policies aimed at addressing the nation's economic challenges. At the time, the U.S. was still feeling the effects of the 1970s recession, dealing with high inflation and unemployment rates. While the country was beginning to experience a shift toward a more conservative economic agenda, inflation remained a pressing concern, and the government had to come up with innovative solutions to stabilize the economy. But amid all these larger changes, something important was also taking place on a much smaller scale. It was in 1981 that the U.S. Mint continued to produce the penny in large quantities, and while the penny may not have seemed significant then, today, it's one of the most interesting coins from the 1980s in terms of collectability. The design of the 1981 penny is based on the same iconic imagery that has graced U.S. pennies for decades. The obverse of the coin features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. The design was created by Victor David Brenner and has remained virtually unchanged since 1909. Lincoln's image, with his recognizable beard and solemn expression, represents the ideals of freedom, democracy, and equality that America holds dear. His likeness is a central feature of U.S. currency and has been a staple on the penny for well over a century. On the reverse side, we see the Lincoln Memorial, designed by architect Henry Bacon. The memorial has graced the back of the penny since 1959 and is one of the most famous landmarks in the United States. It symbolizes the nation's deep respect for Lincoln and his legacy as one of the most influential leaders in American history. The memorial is a reflection of the country's admiration for Lincoln's role in preserving the Union during the Civil War and his efforts toward emancipation, but while the design of the 1981 penny may be familiar to many, what makes it so unique lies in its production details. The penny has always been one of the most widely circulated coins in the United States, and it continues to be one of the most used coins in the country. But the 1981 penny, much like other pennies from the era, was made with the same composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This blend of metals gave the penny its reddish-brown color, and it also contributed to the coin's weight of 3.11 grams. However, the 1981 penny represents a time just before the U.S. Mint made a significant change to the composition of the penny. In 1982, the Mint switched the penny's alloy from copper to a more cost-effective copper-plated zinc formula, leading to the production of two types of pennies in that year. This composition shift marked the beginning of a new era in U.S. coinage, but the 1981 penny remains a key piece in understanding this transition. Collectors today are particularly interested in the 1981 penny for its rarity in pristine condition. While many pennies from the 1980s were used in everyday transactions and are worn down over time, those that were carefully stored or kept in uncirculated condition are highly valued. The key to their appeal is the fact that finding one in excellent shape is relatively rare, especially considering the widespread circulation of these coins. Coins that remain in their original state, free of damage, tarnish, or heavy circulation marks, are more desirable for collectors and can fetch higher prices. But there's another factor that plays into the value of the 1981 penny, and that's the possibility of minting errors. Over the years, the U.S. Mint has occasionally produced coins with defects or design flaws, and error coins tend to be highly sought after in the world of numismatics. For example, one of the more interesting variations of the 1981 penny is the double die error. A double die occurs when a coin is struck twice by the dies, causing the design to appear doubled or misaligned. This can lead to a penny where the image of Abraham Lincoln or the text on the coin appears blurry or doubled. A 1981 penny with a double die error is a significant find for collectors, as these errors are relatively rare. The more noticeable the error and the better the condition of the coin, the higher its value will be. A double die error on a 1981 penny can make it worth significantly more than its regular counterpart, sometimes increasing its value by hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another error that can make a 1981 penny more valuable is the cut error. A cut occurs when a piece of the die breaks off, leaving a portion of the coin's design missing or malformed. Cuts are relatively rare, and coins with cut errors are often considered highly collectible because they're unique. A 1981 penny with a cut error could be an interesting addition to any collection and would certainly stand out in the market. So, let's get to the moment you've all been waiting for. How much could a 1981 penny be worth today? Well, as with most coins, the value depends on the condition and rarity of the coin, along with any errors that may be present. A regular 1981 penny in excellent, uncirculated condition can be worth several $100s, especially if it has been carefully stored and preserved over the years. However, when it comes to error coins, especially those with double die or cut errors, the value can soar even higher. In fact, some 1981 pennies with minting errors can be worth as much as $52,000. Yes, you read that right. $52,000 for a single penny. It's amazing to think that a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent could appreciate to such a high value. That's the beauty of coin collecting. You never know when a small, seemingly insignificant coin could turn out to be worth a fortune. So, if you have a 1981 penny lying around, take a closer look at it. You might just have a hidden gem on your hands. Top 7. We're diving into the fascinating world of American coins, specifically the 1-cent piece from 1986. If you've ever thought of the penny as just a small and insignificant coin, think again. This seemingly ordinary coin has a surprising history and a lot of collector interest, particularly in certain conditions. So, let's take a step back in time to understand the historical context, the design details, the unique features of the 1986 penny, and why it might just be worth far more than its face value today. Stay tuned, because we'll be revealing just how much a 1986 penny could be worth in today's market. Let's first set the stage by looking at the broader historical context of 1986. The United States was going through a period of significant change. President Ronald Reagan was in his second term, and his administration was focused on economic recovery, military buildup, and addressing the Cold War tensions with the Soviet Union. In the mid-1980s, the U.S. economy was undergoing a series of transformations, with a shift toward deregulation, tax reforms, and increased national debt. Despite the political and economic shifts, one thing remained constant: the penny was still a mainstay of American currency. The 1986 penny, much like the pennies before it, was minted in large numbers, and it was primarily used for everyday transactions. But even though it seemed like just another coin circulating in the country, the penny was actually evolving in terms of its composition and the way it was being produced. This period also marked a time when the cost of producing pennies was beginning to rise, leading to ongoing debates about the penny's future. Yet, it would be another decade before the U.S. government seriously considered eliminating it from circulation. For now, the penny remained a central part of American coinage. Now, let's talk about the design of the 1986 penny. For many collectors, the most fascinating aspect of the penny is its design, which has remained largely unchanged since 1909. The obverse of the 1986 penny features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This famous design was created by Victor David Brenner and has been a part of the penny for over a century. Lincoln's image is iconic, representing the ideals of freedom, democracy, and equality that define the United States. The reverse of the 1986 penny, like many other pennies before and after it, depicts the Lincoln Memorial. The design of the memorial, created by architect Henry Bacon, has been part of the penny since 1959. The Lincoln Memorial stands as a tribute to Abraham Lincoln's leadership during the Civil War and his commitment to preserving the Union. The image on the coin shows the memorial from the front, with the columns standing strong and representing the enduring legacy of Lincoln and the nation he helped shape. But what makes the 1986 penny especially interesting is the production details behind it. The 1986 penny was made from a copper-plated zinc composition, which was the standard composition for pennies by this time. The coin's weight is 2.5 grams, and it has a diameter of 19 millimeters. The composition change from pure copper to a copper-zinc mix had been introduced in the early 1980s as a cost-saving measure. At the time, the price of copper was rising, and the U.S. Mint needed a way to keep the cost of producing pennies lower. The 1986 penny was produced in vast quantities at the U.S. Mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The vast majority of these pennies entered circulation and were used in daily transactions. However, while most of the 1986 pennies were spent and circulated, a few coins were set aside by collectors, and others were preserved in pristine condition. These coins, especially those with unique characteristics, have become highly sought after by collectors in the decades since their production. One of the reasons the 1986 penny continues to be a focus of collectors is the condition of the coin. While millions of pennies from 1986 were used in everyday transactions and show signs of wear, those that were kept in mint condition are highly desirable. Coins that are uncirculated or in proof-like condition can be worth significantly more than their face value. Collectors are particularly interested in finding examples that have not been tarnished or damaged by time, as these coins can be rare to find. With the increasing scarcity of well-preserved pennies, a well-maintained 1986 penny has become a valuable item for numismatists. Another factor that makes the 1986 penny interesting is the possibility of minting errors. Over the years, the U.S. Mint has occasionally produced coins with defects or design flaws, and error coins tend to be highly valuable to collectors. There are several types of minting errors that could be found on a 1986 penny, including double die errors, which occur when the coin's design is struck twice, resulting in a doubling effect. This can create a striking visual effect where certain details, like the lettering or the portrait of Lincoln, appear doubled. double die errors are highly sought after by collectors, as they are relatively rare and add a unique aspect to a coin's design. If you happen to find a 1986 penny with this kind of error, it could be worth far more than a regular penny. Depending on the size and visibility of the error, such a coin could command a premium price in the market. Another potential minting error that can increase the value of a 1986 penny is a misstrike. A misstrike happens when a coin is not properly aligned or struck by the dies, resulting in a distorted or off-center design. While these types of errors are less common, they can add a level of uniqueness to a coin that makes it highly appealing to collectors. Now, the big question is, how much could your 1986 penny be worth? The value of the 1986 penny depends on several factors, including its condition, whether it has any minting errors, and how rare those errors might be. A regular 1986 penny in average circulated condition is worth only its face value of 1 cent. However, when you find a 1986 penny that has been kept in pristine condition, it can be worth much more. An uncirculated 1986 penny might fetch anywhere from a few dollars to even more, depending on its quality. But here's the real kicker: a 1986 penny with a rare minting error, such as a double die or off-center misstrike, could be worth an impressive sum. In fact, a rare, error-free 1986 penny has been known to fetch as much as $48,000. That's right, $48,000 for a single penny. If you happen to find an error coin from 1986 in your collection or in your change, you could be sitting on a small fortune. So, whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone looking to get into the world of coin collecting, make sure you keep an eye out for the 1986 penny. With its historical significance, appealing design, and potential for rarity, this coin might just be the next hidden gem in your collection. Top 8, we're going to talk about a coin that, at first glance, might seem like just another piece of pocket change, but in reality, it has a fascinating history and a surprisingly high value for those in the know. I'm talking about the 1988 United States 1 cent coin. While pennies are typically not the first coins that come to mind when people think of valuable collectibles, the 1988 penny has a lot to offer, from its historical context to its unique design. As we dive deeper into this fascinating coin, we'll uncover some surprising details, so stick around until the end when we reveal its incredible value today. Let's first look at the historical context of the 1988 penny. In 1988, the United States was living through a period of economic prosperity. Ronald Reagan was in his second term as president, and the economy was booming thanks to his policies focused on tax cuts, deregulation, and a strong military presence. At the same time, the Cold War was still very much a part of the global political landscape, and the U.S. economy was continuing to grow steadily after recovering from the recessions of the 1970s and early 1980s. Meanwhile, inflation was stabilizing, and interest rates were being kept in check. In short, the country was in a relatively good place economically, and even the smallest denominations, like the penny, were actively in circulation. Despite being one of the least valued coins, the penny was still in high demand and used widely in everyday transactions. The 1988 penny, like other pennies from that time, was primarily used in vending machines, shopping, and as part of people's daily cash transactions. But, as you'll learn soon, the 1988 penny was produced in such high numbers that most of the coins in circulation became worn and damaged, leaving a few pristine specimens behind for collectors to find. Now let's take a closer look at the design of the 1988 penny. The design has remained largely the same since 1909, when it was first created to honor President Abraham Lincoln, one of the United States' most revered leaders. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of Lincoln, designed by artist Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's image has been a symbol of freedom, equality, and unity for well over a century, and his presence on the penny reminds us of the country's deep appreciation for his leadership during the Civil War and his role in the abolition of slavery. The reverse of the 1988 penny showcases the Lincoln Memorial, which has been part of the coin's design since 1959. The memorial symbolizes the nation's respect for Lincoln's legacy and his vital role in preserving the Union. The memorial is depicted on the reverse of the coin, with its towering columns providing a sense of majesty and reverence. This design was intended to be a lasting tribute to Lincoln and his enduring influence on American history. Now, while the design of the 1988 penny is instantly recognizable, what's interesting about this particular coin is that it was made from a particular alloy composition. The 1988 penny was made of a copper-plated zinc mix, a change that had been implemented in the early 1980s in response to rising copper prices. This copper-zinc blend made the coin lighter and more cost-effective to produce compared to the earlier versions made purely from copper. In terms of its physical characteristics, the 1988 penny weighs 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. These specifications are the same for most pennies minted in this era, and while the penny may not seem special at first glance, there are certain factors that can make a 1988 penny stand out in the world of coin collecting. First, the 1988 penny was minted in significant numbers. The U.S. Mint produced billions of these coins, and they quickly entered circulation. As with any widely circulated coin, the vast majority of these pennies show signs of wear and age from being passed around in everyday transactions. However, the real appeal of the 1988 penny lies in finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition. These coins, especially those that have been carefully preserved over the years, are highly valuable to collectors. A well-preserved 1988 penny can fetch much more than its face value, as collectors value coins in mint condition because they are harder to come by. Another interesting aspect of the 1988 penny is the potential for minting errors. Over the years, the U.S. Mint has occasionally produced coins with flaws, and these errors can make a coin much more valuable. For example, a 1988 penny with a doubled die error, in which the coin is struck twice by the dies, resulting in a doubled image, can be worth far more than a regular penny. This type of error happens when the dies that strike the coin are misaligned, causing the design to appear blurry or double in certain areas, such as the date or lettering. Another type of minting error that can increase the value of a 1988 penny is the off-center error. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, causing the design to be struck off-center. These types of errors can create unique and interesting variations of the coin that collectors find especially appealing. The more extreme the misalignment, the more valuable the coin can be to a collector. So, let's fast forward to today and take a look at the value of the 1988 penny. While a typical 1988 penny in circulated condition is still worth just 1 cent, the true value of the coin depends on its condition and any minting errors that might be present. A well-preserved 1988 penny, especially one that has been kept in uncirculated condition, can be worth more than just a few dollars, particularly if it's part of a rare find or a special collection. But here's where it gets even more exciting: a 1988 penny that has a significant minting error can be worth much more. For example, a 1988 penny with a double die error or an off-center error can be worth as much as $45,000. Yes, you heard that right, $45,000 for a single penny. These error coins are rare and highly desirable to collectors, which is why they can fetch such an impressive price in the marketplace. The discovery of an error coin can turn a casual coin collector's life upside down. A penny that once seemed like just pocket change could suddenly be worth tens of thousands of dollars. It's a reminder that in the world of coin collecting, you never know what hidden treasures might be sitting in your collection or even your change. So, the next time you come across a 1988 penny, take a closer look at it. Check for any unusual features, and if it's in mint condition or has a unique error, you could be holding on to something far more valuable than you ever expected. Coins like these remind us that even the smallest piece of currency can carry historical significance and incredible value. Top 9, we're diving into a fascinating piece of American history, the United States 1-cent coin from 1996. At first glance, this might seem like just another penny, but trust me, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. By the end of this video, you'll be amazed at the historical significance and potential value this little piece of currency holds. So, let's jump right in and explore the story behind the 1996 penny. To understand the 1996 penny, we need to set the scene for what was happening in the United States during that year. The country was in the midst of a period of economic prosperity. Bill Clinton was serving his first term as president, and the nation was experiencing steady growth after recovering from the recessions of the early 1990s. The dot-com boom was just beginning to change the way the world worked, and the economy was thriving. In 1996, the US was also engaged in a global shift in the political landscape, with the Cold War officially behind them, and many parts of the world were on the path toward peace and economic progress. In the midst of all these changes, the US Mint was continuing to produce the familiar, everyday coins that were needed to facilitate transactions. The penny, though small in value, was still very much a part of the American landscape, circulating widely among the general public. By 1996, the penny was made from a composition of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, a formula that had been in place since the early 1980s. The minting of this particular penny marked another chapter in the evolution of American currency. Now, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1996 penny. If you're familiar with US coins, you'll know that the design of the penny has remained largely unchanged since it first debuted in 1909. On the obverse side of the coin, we see the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, sculpted by artist Victor David Brenner. This design was chosen to honor Lincoln's leadership during the Civil War and his pivotal role in the abolition of slavery. His image has been a fixture on the penny for over a century, making it one of the most recognizable faces in U.S. coinage. But the design doesn't just stop with Lincoln's profile. Behind him on the 1996 penny, you'll see the word "Liberty" inscribed along the edge of the coin. Beneath the word "Liberty," you'll also find the year of minting, 1996, proudly displayed. To the right of Lincoln's portrait is the inscription, "In God We Trust," a reminder of the nation's spiritual foundation. All these elements combine to create a beautiful and meaningful tribute to one of America's most beloved presidents. Now, let's flip the coin over and take a look at the reverse. The reverse side of the 1996 penny features the Lincoln Memorial, an iconic symbol of Lincoln's legacy. The memorial was designed by the famous sculptor Daniel Chester French and was first used on the reverse of the penny in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial's majestic columns and the statue of Lincoln seated in the center are represented with great attention to detail, reflecting the grandeur of the actual memorial located in Washington, D.C. The reverse side also displays the phrase, "E pluribus unum," which means, out of many, one, reinforcing the unity and strength of the United States as a nation. Now that we've covered the design, let's talk about the minting process. The 1996 penny was produced by the United States Mint at its facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. It was minted in huge quantities to meet the demand for circulating coins. In fact, more than 7 billion pennies were struck in 1996, making it one of the most common years for the penny in circulation. The high volume of production meant that many of these coins became worn and damaged through everyday use. However, it's these very factors that make well-preserved 1996 pennies so special. When it comes to collector appeal, condition is everything. Most of the 1996 pennies you'll encounter today are worn down from years of circulation. But what collectors are truly searching for are those pennies that remain in uncirculated, near-mint condition. Finding a penny from 1996 in this pristine state is a rare and exciting discovery. These coins stand out because they haven't been exposed to the wear and tear of daily life. Instead, they retain their original shine and sharp details, making them highly desirable to collectors. But condition isn't the only factor that can increase the value of a 1996 penny. There are certain rarities and errors that can make this coin even more valuable. For example, coins with minting errors are highly sought after by collectors, and the 1996 penny is no exception. One of the most famous errors on pennies from this time period is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck multiple times by the minting dies, resulting in a doubling of the image, typically in the date or the lettering. If you happen to find a 1996 penny with a double die error, you could be holding on to something that is worth much more than the typical penny. Another potential error that can increase the value of the 1996 penny is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not aligned properly during the minting process, causing the design to be struck off-center. Off-center coins are rarer and more unusual, and they often become valuable collector items due to their distinctive look. So, now for the moment you've all been waiting for, the value of the 1996 penny. While most 1996 pennies are worth just 1 cent, there are some that have sold for much higher amounts. A well-preserved, uncirculated 1996 penny can be worth hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars, especially if it has an error. However, there is one particular 1996 penny that stands out as a true treasure for collectors. A penny with the right combination of condition and rare minting error can be worth as much as $39,000, that's right, $39,000 for a single penny. Imagine having a coin that's been sitting in your change jar or in your collection for years, only to discover it's worth a small fortune. It just goes to show that with coin collecting, you never know when a simple penny might turn into something incredibly valuable. So, if you have any 1996 pennies lying around, take a closer look at them. Check for any signs of minting errors, and if you find one in excellent condition, you could have a valuable coin on your hands. And remember, even if it's not worth tens of thousands of dollars, it's still a fascinating piece of American history. Top 10, we're diving deep into the United States 1-cent coin from 1991. You might think of the penny as a piece of pocket change, but let me tell you, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at how much this seemingly simple coin is worth. It's not just about the coin itself, but the story it tells and the hidden treasure it holds. First, let's travel back in time to 1991. The United States was entering the final years of the 20th century. George H.W. Bush was serving as president, and the country was still feeling the effects of the Gulf War, which had recently come to a close. The early 90s were a time of economic uncertainty as the U.S. was emerging from the savings and loan crisis, but things were beginning to stabilize. The internet was in its infancy, and the world was starting to change in ways that would set the stage for the technological boom that would follow in the coming decades. The early 90s marked a period of cultural transformation, with people becoming more connected through emerging technologies and popular media. In the midst of all this change, the U.S. Mint was continuing its job of providing the public with the necessary currency to keep the economy running smoothly. The 1991 penny, just like any other year's issue, was minted in large quantities to meet the demand for coins in circulation. This little coin, weighing only 2.5 grams and made of a composition of copper-plated zinc, was used by millions of people every day for purchases, saving, and as a symbol of the country's rich history. Now, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1991 penny. If you're familiar with U.S. coins, you probably recognize the image of Abraham Lincoln that's been featured on the penny since 1909. The obverse side of the coin displays a portrait of Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. Lincoln, as the 16th President of the United States, played a pivotal role in preserving the Union during the Civil War and in emancipating enslaved people. His legacy continues to resonate in American culture, and his presence on the penny is a tribute to his leadership, character, and the principles of liberty and equality that he stood for. In addition to the portrait of Lincoln, you'll also find the inscription, "In God We Trust," on the obverse, along with the word liberty and the year of minting, 1991. These markings are important because they reflect not only the country's beliefs but also its commitment to freedom and democracy. Lincoln's likeness, with its timeless elegance and deep symbolism, continues to be one of the most recognizable and revered images in U.S. coinage. Turning the coin over, we find the reverse design. The reverse of the 1991 penny features the iconic Lincoln Memorial. The memorial, which was designed by Daniel Chester French and completed in 1922, serves as a reminder of Lincoln's leadership and his lasting impact on the country. The memorial is one of the most famous landmarks in Washington, D.C., and its representation on the penny honors the president's memory and his fight for unity during one of the darkest times in U.S. history. In addition to the Lincoln Memorial, you'll find the phrase, E pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one. This motto has been a part of U.S. coins since the late 18th century, and it represents the unity of the American people, coming together to form a single, strong nation from many diverse backgrounds. The reverse design, with its powerful imagery and words, is a perfect reflection of the ideals that have shaped the United States. Now, let's talk about the minting process. The 1991 penny, like most other coins, was minted at the U.S. Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver. These pennies were produced in vast quantities. Nearly 7 billion 1-cent coins were struck that year to meet the needs of the U.S. economy. The 1991 penny, made of copper-plated zinc, has a diameter of 19 millimeters and a thickness of 1.52 millimeters. These specifications have remained largely the same for the penny since the early 20th century. The minting process itself is highly precise, ensuring that each coin is consistent in size, weight, and design. However, despite the large numbers of pennies produced, not all of them survive in mint condition. It's important to note that coins like the 1991 penny, which were produced in such high volumes, are often found in circulated condition. This means they've seen years of use, which can lead to signs of wear and tear. The more circulated a coin is, the less valuable it typically becomes in terms of its collector appeal. However, this doesn't mean that all hope is lost. In fact, coins in exceptional condition, those that have been well preserved and remain in uncirculated or near mint states, are highly sought after by collectors. So, why is the 1991 penny special, and why does it catch the attention of collectors? The answer lies in its rarity in uncirculated or near mint condition, as well as any potential minting errors that may have occurred during production. A coin that has a unique flaw, such as a misaligned die or a double strike, can become much more valuable than a regular, run-of-the-mill penny. These error coins, which happen when the minting process doesn't go according to plan, are highly prized by collectors who appreciate their uniqueness and rarity. While errors like this are not common, they do exist, and finding one could mean a significant increase in value for your 1991 penny. One of the most popular error types for pennies from this era is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck multiple times by the same die, resulting in a doubling effect of the design. On a 1991 penny, this could manifest in doubled letters or numbers, often seen on the date or the word Liberty. These coins are incredibly rare and are among the most valuable pennies to find from this year. Another type of error that collectors look for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be struck off-center. This creates an interesting and unique look for the coin, and those that have significant off-center strikes are considered highly collectible. So, what is the value of the 1991 penny today? Well, the value of this coin can vary greatly depending on its condition and any potential minting errors. A typical, circulated 1991 penny is still only worth 1 cent, but that's not where the story ends. If you're lucky enough to have a 1991 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could be worth much more, often in the range of hundreds of dollars, but for those rare and highly sought-after error coins, the value can skyrocket. Some collectors have been known to pay astronomical prices for a 1991 penny with the right characteristics. In fact, the value of certain 1991 pennies has reached an incredible $46,000, yes, that's right, $46,000 for a single penny. Imagine stumbling upon such a coin in your pocket change or discovering it in an old jar of coins. It's proof that, in the world of numismatics, sometimes the smallest pieces of currency can hold the greatest value. So, if you've got any 1991 pennies in your collection or come across one in your daily life, make sure to take a closer look. With a keen eye for condition and a bit of luck, you might just have a hidden treasure worth thousands of dollars. Top 11, we're diving into the history and significance of the 1987 United States 1-cent coin, a small but fascinating piece of American currency. At first glance, it might seem like just another penny, but there's more to this coin than meets the eye. The story behind it, the design choices, and the potential value it holds are truly remarkable. So, stick with us as we uncover the journey of the 1987 penny and discover just how much it's worth today. Let's start by setting the scene. The year 1987 was a pivotal moment in American history. The Cold War was still ongoing, but signs of détente between the US and the Soviet Union were emerging. The world was beginning to change rapidly as technology advanced, and the personal computer revolution was taking off. At home, President Ronald Reagan was in his second term, and the U.S. economy was experiencing a period of growth. It was a time of transition and progress, both politically and economically, but even amid these significant global and national events, everyday life continued for millions of Americans, and the U.S. Mint was busy at work producing the currency needed to support the economy. The 1987 penny was part of that production, representing a snapshot of the financial landscape of the late 1980s. In terms of design, the 1987 penny follows the traditional pattern that had been in place since 1909. The obverse side features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Lincoln has been a central figure on the penny for over a century, and his image is one of the most iconic and enduring symbols in American numismatics. The original design by Victor David Brenner has remained largely unchanged, reflecting Lincoln's legacy and the values he stood for: unity, freedom, and perseverance in the face of adversity. On the reverse side of the 1987 penny, we find the Lincoln Memorial, a striking and familiar image. Designed by sculptor Daniel Chester French and completed in 1922, the Lincoln Memorial has become an enduring symbol of the nation's reverence for Lincoln and the principles he championed. The reverse side also features the inscription E Pluribus Unum, which translates to "out of many, one," a reminder of the unity that binds the diverse states and people of America together. But what makes the 1987 penny so interesting? After all, it was produced in the millions. Over 7 billion pennies were minted that year. On the surface, it may seem like just another regular coin that circulated widely, spending time in pockets, purses, and vending machines. However, it's not just the quantity of these pennies that make them worth discussing, it's the quality and the specific characteristics that can make a 1987 penny stand out. One of the most important aspects to consider when evaluating the value of a coin is its condition. While most of the 1987 pennies are likely to be found in heavily circulated condition, there are still some in near mint or uncirculated states that are highly sought after by collectors. A coin that is well preserved, with no visible wear or scratches, is much more valuable than one that shows signs of heavy use. If you happen to find a 1987 penny that has been carefully stored away and has maintained its pristine condition, you could have a potential treasure on your hands. But the story doesn't end there. Error coins, those with minting mistakes, are often worth much more than their perfectly minted counterparts. The 1987 penny, like other coins of its era, is no stranger to errors. These mistakes can occur during the production process, and they often make certain coins much more valuable. Collectors are particularly drawn to these errors because they represent a piece of history, something that was never intended to exist but somehow made it out of the mint and into circulation. Some of the most common errors found on 1987 pennies include double strikes, misaligned dies, and off-center strikes. A double strike occurs when a coin is struck twice by the same die, resulting in a design that appears doubled or blurry. This can happen when the coin doesn't eject properly from the press after the first strike, and the die hits it a second time. These double-strike pennies are rare and highly valuable. Misaligned die errors, where the design is stamped at an angle or off-center, also make a coin much more interesting to collectors. These types of mistakes add character to a coin, and as a result, they are often sold at a premium. Another error that can increase the value of a 1987 penny is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be struck off-center. This creates a unique and distinct appearance, making the coin stand out from others that were minted correctly. Off-center strikes are highly desirable to collectors because of their rarity and the fact that they add a sense of intrigue and mystery to the coin. To fully appreciate the value of the 1987 penny, it's important to consider the rarity of these errors. While the mint produced billions of pennies that year, only a small fraction of those coins contain the types of errors that collectors covet. As a result, if you happen to find a 1987 penny with a notable error, it could be worth a significant amount more than its face value. And now, we arrive at the most exciting part, the value of the 1987 penny. While a typical, circulated 1987 penny is worth just 1 cent, certain coins can be worth so much more. A well-preserved, uncirculated 1987 penny can fetch a few dollars, but when it comes to error coins, the value skyrockets. Some of these rare error pennies have been known to sell for several $1,000s, depending on the severity of the error and the demand from collectors. In fact, a 1987 penny with a notable error, such as a double strike or off-center strike, has been known to sell for an astonishing $48,000. That's right, $48,000 for a single penny. It's a testament to how much the world of coin collecting can surprise us. What may seem like a small, insignificant piece of currency can hold tremendous value for those who know what to look for. So, if you're going through your change or sorting through old pennies, be sure to take a closer look at any 1987 coins you find. They might just be worth more than you think. Whether you find a rare error coin or simply discover a well-preserved example in great condition, you could be holding on to a valuable piece of history. Top 12, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States 1 cent 1989. This seemingly humble coin has an intriguing history and design that make it more than just another penny. But what makes this particular penny so valuable? Stick around as we uncover the historical significance, the design elements, and the story behind the minting of the 1989 penny. And, of course, we'll end with the big reveal, the incredible value this coin can reach today. The year 1989 was a time of significant transition. The world was on the cusp of immense change. In the United States, President George H.W. Bush was nearing the end of his first year in office, and the country was dealing with economic shifts, international tensions, and a rapidly advancing technological age. While global affairs were evolving, life at home continued with the everyday hustle of everyday people, and for many, that meant interacting with the currency of the time. The 1989 1-cent coin, often called the penny, is part of a long-standing tradition in U.S. currency. In fact, the design we see on this penny today, featuring the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse and Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, has remained largely unchanged for decades. Let's take a closer look at the details of this coin, starting with the design itself. The obverse side of the 1989 penny features a familiar face, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. His image, created by artist Victor David Brenner, has been on the penny since 1909. Lincoln's profile has become one of the most iconic representations of a U.S. president. His legacy as the leader who preserved the Union during the Civil War, abolished slavery, and delivered the Gettysburg Address has made his likeness synonymous with strength, freedom, and equality. The year 1989 marked the 180th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, adding extra historical weight to the coin's design. Beneath Lincoln's image, we find the inscription, "In God We Trust," a phrase that has been part of U.S. currency since the Civil War era. Above Lincoln's portrait is the inscription, "Liberty," and the coin also bears the year of minting, 1989. These familiar inscriptions are a key part of the coin's enduring identity, reinforcing its connection to American values and the nation's history. Now, let's flip the coin to the reverse side. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, one of the most recognized monuments in the U.S. It was designed by sculptor Daniel Chester French and completed in 1922. The memorial's column structure, symbolizing the strength and unity of the nation, was chosen as the coin's reverse design in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. This depiction of the memorial stands as a reminder of Lincoln's monumental impact on American society and his fight for unity during a time of division. Surrounding the memorial on the reverse side is the inscription, "United States of America," and beneath it, we see the words, "E pluribus unum," which means, out of many, one. This motto emphasizes the unity of the United States, symbolizing the merging of many states and people into a single, united nation. The design on the reverse also features 1 cent, denoting the coin's value. Though the 1989 penny followed the familiar pattern of its predecessors, what makes it stand out is the context in which it was minted. By 1989, the United States was firmly entrenched in a post-Cold War world, and the penny was circulating in a growing economy. However, the coin also represented a shift in the materials used to produce currency. During the late 1980s, the composition of the penny was starting to change due to rising copper prices, signaling a shift in the future production of coins. The 1989 penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. However, this would soon change in the early 1990s, when the U.S. Mint transitioned to using a copper-plated zinc composition. The higher cost of producing copper pennies had become an issue, and by the mid-1980s, the U.S. Mint began considering alternatives to reduce costs. The 1989 penny represents a bridge between the traditional copper coinage of earlier decades and the future of U.S. coinage. While the penny itself may have seemed like just another coin to most people, it holds significance for collectors, particularly those interested in the subtle differences and nuances that can make a specific year's coin more valuable. The number of pennies produced in 1989 was large, billions of them circulated across the country. However, the rarity of a well-preserved, uncirculated penny from 1989 is what truly catches the attention of numismatists and collectors. In general, pennies from the 1980s are not considered rare, as they were minted in high volumes. However, it's the condition of these coins that makes them valuable. A 1989 penny in near mint or uncirculated condition is much rarer than one that has been circulated extensively. Coins that have been kept in excellent condition, free from scratches, wear, and damage, are highly desirable among collectors. If you're lucky enough to have an uncirculated 1989 penny in your collection, you could be holding on to something that is worth far more than just 1 cent. In addition to well-preserved coins, another factor that can dramatically increase the value of a 1989 penny is the presence of minting errors. Mint errors occur during the production process and can result in coins with unique characteristics that were not part of the original design. These mistakes, often considered one-of-a-kind, can greatly enhance the value of a coin. One common type of error on pennies from this era is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to appear misaligned. Other mint errors that could make a 1989 penny more valuable include double strikes, die cracks, or even missing letters. These error coins are highly sought after by collectors, and the rarer the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. So, how much is a 1989 penny worth today? Well, if you're lucky enough to own an uncirculated 1989 penny in pristine condition or a rare error coin, you could be looking at a remarkable increase in value. While a typical 1989 penny in circulated condition may only be worth its face value of 1 cent, the value can skyrocket for coins that have been carefully preserved or that feature unique minting errors. Collectors have paid tens of thousands of dollars for error coins and high-grade examples, and the 1989 penny is no exception. A penny from this year, in uncirculated condition or with an error, could easily fetch a price as high as $44,000. That's right, $44,000 for a single penny. So, the next time you're sorting through your change, take a closer look at any 1989 pennies you might find. They could be worth far more than their face value, especially if you happen to stumble upon a rare error coin or an uncirculated gem. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone interested in learning more about the world of numismatics, the 1989 penny is a perfect example of how small details can lead to big rewards. Top 13, we're diving into a fascinating topic, the United States 1-cent coin from 1993. You might think of it as just another penny, but this coin carries with it a unique story and can be worth far more than its face value. So, if you've ever wondered why some pennies are worth so much more, or why certain coins from this era stand out, stick around as we uncover the rich history, striking design, and potential value of the 1993 penny. Let's begin by setting the stage. The 1990s were a decade of change, not just in technology and pop culture, but in the world of U.S. coinage. The early 90s marked a time of economic stability in the United States, but this was also the period where the U.S. Mint began adapting to a series of new challenges and changes, particularly in the cost of materials and advances in technology. The 1993 penny, like the rest of its decade, represents a period of tradition mixed with the inevitable winds of change. At the heart of the 1993 penny is its design, which, though unchanged for several decades, continues to carry significant weight in American history. On the obverse side, we see the profile of President Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been on the penny since 1909. This portrayal of Lincoln by artist Victor David Brenner remains one of the most recognizable and enduring images in U.S. numismatics. The image itself, created to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday, is timeless, symbolizing strength, perseverance, and the unity Lincoln fought for during one of the most turbulent times in American history. You'll also notice the familiar inscription, "In God We Trust," which has appeared on U.S. coins since the mid-19th century. Above Lincoln's profile is the word "Liberty," while at the bottom of the coin is the mint year, 1993. This marks the year the coin was struck, and it's these small details that make each year's coin unique, even if the design itself remains unchanged. Lincoln's likeness on the penny has not only captured his historical significance but has become a symbol of the nation's values. Now, let's flip the coin to the reverse side, where we find the Lincoln Memorial. Designed by sculptor Daniel Chester French, the memorial has been featured on the back of the penny since 1959, celebrating the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The Lincoln Memorial itself is one of the most iconic landmarks in the United States, representing freedom, unity, and the pursuit of justice. The reverse side of the 1993 penny prominently features the memorial, standing tall with its grand columns and the statue of Lincoln seated inside, while the words, "E pluribus unum," out of many, one, can be seen encircling the structure, reinforcing the unity of the United States. Along with the memorial, the reverse side also bears the words, "United States of America," and the denomination, 1 cent. These features serve to remind us of the penny's place in American currency, a symbol of both historical and national significance. While the 1993 penny may seem like just a continuation of a familiar design, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. The material composition of the 1993 penny is another crucial aspect of its design. Made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, this penny is part of the last generation of pennies minted with a copper composition before the U.S. Mint transitioned to the copper-plated zinc variety in 1982. The cost of copper was rising in the 1980s, and it became unsustainable for the mint to continue using such a large quantity of copper in the penny. However, the 1993 penny still retains a significant amount of copper, giving it a slightly higher weight and a distinct appearance compared to modern pennies. For coin collectors, the 1993 penny represents a pivotal moment in the evolution of U.S. coinage. While the design remained largely the same, subtle differences in the minting process, such as changes in the quality of the strike and occasional minor variations in the coin's edge, can make the 1993 penny a fascinating subject of study. For some collectors, finding a well-preserved 1993 penny in uncirculated condition can be a highly rewarding experience. Speaking of well-preserved coins, the key to a penny's value lies in its condition. While many 1993 pennies were minted and circulated widely, coins that have been carefully stored or that remained uncirculated are much rarer than those that have been used in daily transactions. Over time, pennies that have been handled frequently often show signs of wear and tear, scratches, discoloration, or damage from friction. However, if a 1993 penny was stored properly or kept in pristine condition, it can be a rare find for collectors. Coins in uncirculated condition are typically graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. A coin in high grade, such as one graded MS 65 or higher, will be worth significantly more than a coin in poor condition. If you have a 1993 penny in near-perfect condition, you could be looking at a value far beyond just 1 cent. But that's not all. There's one more element that can make the 1993 penny truly extraordinary: mint errors. Mint errors occur when something goes wrong during the coin's production, creating a unique and often rare piece. Some common types of mint errors include off-center strikes, double strikes, or die cracks. These errors can drastically increase the value of a coin because they are one of a kind and cannot be replicated. For example, a 1993 penny with a double strike error or an off-center design might attract the attention of collectors who are willing to pay a premium for these rare coins. Mint error coins often sell for far more than the face value of a regular penny. If you have a 1993 penny with such an error, it could be worth a small fortune. So, what's the current value of a 1993 penny? While most of these coins are still worth just 1 cent, those in uncirculated condition, or those with minting errors, can be worth much more. A well-preserved 1993 penny can easily fetch thousands of dollars at auction, and certain rare mint errors have been known to reach astronomical prices. Some 1993 pennies, particularly those in near-perfect or mint error condition, have been known to sell for as much as $39,000, yes, you heard that right, $39,000 for a single penny. It's amazing to think that something as small and seemingly insignificant as a penny can hold so much value. So, the next time you come across a 1993 penny, take a moment to examine it closely. You never know, it could be worth far more than just 1 cent. Top 14, we're going to explore the story of a seemingly ordinary piece of American currency, the 1994 1-cent coin, or penny. If you think of this coin as just another penny, think again. This little coin has a history, design, and potential value that will surprise you. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the 1994 penny has garnered the attention of coin collectors and how it can be worth so much more than just 1 cent. Stick around until the end to find out how much this coin is valued at today. The year 1994 was an interesting time in the United States. It was the midpoint of the decade, and the country was experiencing a period of economic stability and growth. Bill Clinton was in the White House, having taken office in 1993, and the world was beginning to embrace the technological advancements of the information age. For many Americans, life in 1994 was marked by the everyday routine of work, family, and, of course, handling currency, the coins that made up their daily exchanges, including the humble penny. The 1994 penny, like many other pennies of its time, was struck as part of the U.S. Mint's regular coinage. Despite being mass-produced, the penny itself holds a lot of historical significance. While most people may overlook it, collectors and numismatists see something much more valuable in this tiny coin, especially if it's in good condition or has unique characteristics. To fully understand its value, let's break down its design, history, and the fascinating details that set it apart from other pennies. The obverse side of the 1994 penny features a profile of the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. This portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner and has appeared on the penny since 1909. Brenner's iconic design has become one of the most recognizable images in American numismatics. The image of Lincoln, a figure synonymous with freedom, unity, and the preservation of the nation, has been a constant presence on American currency for over a century. In addition to the portrait, the obverse of the 1994 penny also carries the words, "Liberty," representing the core values of the United States, and the phrase, "In God We Trust," which has appeared on U.S. currency since the Civil War. Below Lincoln's image is the year, 1994, marking the coin's minting year. For coin collectors, the year on the coin can be an important detail in determining its rarity and value, as certain years feature distinctive characteristics or mintage numbers that make them more desirable. Turning the coin over, we find the reverse side, which features the Lincoln Memorial. This design was chosen in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and has been a fixture on the penny ever since. Designed by sculptor Daniel Chester French, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a powerful symbol of American democracy and the enduring legacy of Lincoln's leadership. The memorial's impressive columns and the seated statue of Lincoln inside serve as a reminder of his role in uniting the country during its darkest hours. The reverse of the 1994 penny also includes the words, "United States of America," and the phrase, "E pluribus unum," meaning, out of many, one, reflecting the nation's unity despite its diversity. At the bottom, the coin proudly displays 1 cent, denoting its value. For many, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side of the penny is a beloved symbol of American history, making the 1994 penny more than just a piece of currency, it's a piece of the nation's heritage. In terms of its physical composition, the 1994 penny is made from a blend of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was a standard composition for the penny until 1982, when rising copper prices led the U.S. Mint to change the penny's formula. While the penny has since been made with copper-plated zinc, the 1994 penny is part of the last generation of coins that retained a significant amount of copper. As a result, the coin has a distinct weight and color compared to modern pennies, and this composition can play a role in its appeal among collectors. Despite the penny's mass production, certain aspects of the 1994 penny make it noteworthy for collectors. The coin may not have been produced in rare quantities, but its condition is key to its value. A coin's grade is determined by its appearance, how well preserved it is. Pennies that have been stored in excellent condition, free from damage or wear, are much more valuable than those that have circulated extensively and show signs of handling. A well-preserved 1994 penny can be worth far more than its face value, and the rarity of high-grade specimens can cause the value to rise significantly. In the world of coin collecting, the condition of a coin is given a numerical grade based on its appearance, with higher numbers indicating better condition. Coins that grade as MS 65, mint state 65, or higher are considered to be in excellent condition and can command higher prices in the collector market. For example, a 1994 penny that has been preserved in mint state or near mint condition might fetch a value of several $100s, far more than just 1 cent. Collectors often search for these coins, as they are considered rarer than their worn counterparts. One of the most exciting elements of coin collecting is the discovery of mint errors. A mint error occurs when something goes wrong during the minting process, resulting in a coin that is unusual or flawed in some way. These errors can include things like off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, and other imperfections that make a coin unique. For the 1994 penny, there are several types of mint errors that can increase the coin's value. An off-center strike, for instance, occurs when the blank coin planchet is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be misaligned. This error can make the coin more valuable to collectors, especially if it is a rare variation. Mint error coins are highly sought after because they are one of a kind. If you have a 1994 penny with a mint error, it could be worth significantly more than a regular coin. Some rare mint errors, especially those that occur in large quantities or have significant visual appeal, can fetch thousands of dollars at auction. A 1994 penny with an off-center strike or another error could easily be worth several $1,000s, depending on its rarity and condition. Now, what is the value of a 1994 penny today? Well, the truth is that most 1994 pennies are still worth just 1 cent, especially if they have been heavily circulated. However, if you have a 1994 penny in uncirculated or near mint condition, it could be worth hundreds of dollars. And, if you happen to have one with a rare minting error, it could be worth even more. The most valuable 1994 pennies, particularly those in excellent condition or with minting errors, can fetch prices of up to $37,000. That's right, a single penny could be worth tens of thousands of dollars if it is in the right condition or has a rare error. This is a testament to the fascinating world of coin collecting, where even the smallest pieces of currency can hold immense value. So, next time you come across a 1994 penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment to examine it closely. You never know, you might be holding on to a rare gem that could be worth a small fortune. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just starting out, the 1994 penny is a perfect example of how something as simple as a coin can carry so much history and potential value. Top 15, we're going to take a deep dive into a coin that you might have passed over without a second thought, the 1983 1-cent coin, or penny, from the United States. You might think of the penny as something insignificant, but believe me, this seemingly humble coin has a remarkable story to tell. Stick around as we uncover its history, design, minting details, and, of course, the astonishing value it holds today. Let's travel back in time to the year 1983. The early 1980s were a time of change and challenge in America. The country was in the midst of recovering from the economic recessions of the previous decade. Ronald Reagan had just begun his first term as president, and the American people were experiencing a new wave of optimism in the face of inflation and global tensions. This period also saw the introduction of groundbreaking technological advances and shifts in American culture. Now, amid these changes, the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins for circulation, including the 1983 penny. But what made this particular year special, and why is it so valuable today? The 1983 penny is actually quite significant in the history of U.S. coinage, not just because of its mintage or design but due to some key differences in its composition and production process. First, let's talk about the design of the coin. On the obverse side of the 1983 penny, we see the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's image has adorned the penny since 1909, making it one of the longest-running designs in American coinage history. Brenner's famous portrait of Lincoln stands as a symbol of freedom, integrity, and unity, reflecting the qualities of the 16th president. Lincoln is portrayed facing right, with his classic beard and top hat, an image that has become so recognizable it is one of the most enduring symbols of American coinage. In addition to the portrait, the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appear on the obverse side, further emphasizing the values on which the United States was founded. Below Lincoln's image is the year of minting, 1983, denoting the year this particular penny was struck. On the reverse side, we see the familiar design of the Lincoln Memorial, which has graced the back of the penny since 1959. This design was selected to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and showcases the grandeur of the memorial, with its iconic columns and seated statue of Lincoln. The inscription, E pluribus unum, is featured at the top of the reverse side, meaning, out of many, one, a reminder of the unity that defines the United States. While the design of the 1983 penny is nothing new or extraordinary in itself, the story behind its composition and the minting process is where things get truly interesting. Prior to 1982, pennies were made primarily from a copper alloy, which was a costly material to use given the rising prices of copper. This change in materials was spurred by economic pressures, and it was in 1982 that the U.S. Mint transitioned from producing copper pennies to copper-plated zinc pennies. In 1983, the penny was fully produced using copper-plated zinc. This meant the core of the penny was made from a zinc alloy, while the exterior was coated in a thin layer of copper. The 1983 penny represents the first full year that this new composition was in circulation, and it's an important milestone in U.S. coinage history. While many of the 1983 pennies are similar to their predecessors, this change in material composition makes the 1983 penny one of the first to be made in this more cost-effective manner. However, what makes the 1983 penny particularly interesting to collectors is the fact that during the minting process, a small number of 1983 pennies were struck with the older copper composition. These rare pennies, often referred to as 1983 copper pennies, were mistakenly made with the old copper planchets instead of the new zinc ones. These rare coins are highly sought after by collectors, as they are considered mint errors, coins that were produced with flaws or variations from the intended design or materials. Finding a 1983 copper penny in your collection could mean striking gold, figuratively, of course. These rare errors can fetch a significant amount of money, depending on their condition and rarity. A copper penny from 1983 in good condition is much rarer than its zinc counterparts, and that rarity drives up its value. Some of these copper pennies have been known to fetch thousands of dollars at auction, making them incredibly valuable to those in the know. Even beyond the potential for these rare copper pennies, the 1983 zinc pennies themselves have value to collectors, especially if they are in uncirculated or near mint condition. A penny that is well preserved and free from wear can hold a significant premium compared to a standard circulated coin. The value of these coins can increase depending on the grade they receive from professional grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. So what makes the 1983 penny so desirable to collectors? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and the possibility of finding one of the rare copper pennies. While the majority of 1983 pennies are not particularly valuable on their own, the error coins are a different story. These copper pennies, which were accidentally minted with the old copper alloy instead of the new zinc alloy, are highly sought after due to their scarcity and unique nature. Even without a mint error, the 1983 penny can still hold substantial value in the right condition. Coins that have been carefully preserved, stored properly, and graded highly by professional services can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And if you are lucky enough to find a rare 1983 copper penny, it could be worth far more. Some of these coins have been sold at auction for prices reaching tens of thousands of dollars. For example, a single 1983 copper penny in near-perfect condition can be worth as much as $41,000. That's right, $41,000 for a penny that was once considered merely pocket change. The key to finding this kind of value lies in knowing what to look for: a penny in mint condition, ideally with no wear or scratches, and the rare copper version that was mistakenly minted during that fateful year. If you're a coin collector, or even if you're just starting to build a collection, always be sure to check your pennies from 1983. It's easy to overlook these small coins, but the potential value of a 1983 penny could surprise you. Whether you're looking for a rare mint error or simply hoping to find a high-quality specimen in good condition, there's a chance you could come across a hidden gem in your pocket change. As we've seen today, the 1983 penny is much more than just a piece of currency. It's a rare collectible with an incredible history and the potential for significant value. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone looking to discover something new, the 1983 penny is a prime example of how a small coin can hold great significance and a price tag that exceeds expectations. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more fascinating coin content. You never know what treasure might be hiding in your pocket change. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.